Namaste, Jai Hind and welcome to what is India's biggest survey on the Uniform Civil Code. Amid the ongoing debate over the Uniform Civil Code and whether or not all these aspects of civil contracts should come under the ambit of one common law, CNN News 18 had done a groundbreaking survey conducted by a team of more than 880 surveyors. We bring you the voice of Muslim women across 25 states and union territories pan-India. The objective was to understand the thoughts and opinions of Muslim women on the implementation of a uniform civil code. The surveyors engaged with Muslim women from different walks of life, capturing their perspectives on this significant issue. The survey provided a platform for Muslim women to express their views freely without prejudice. This mega survey by CNN News 18 serves as a powerful testimony to the thoughts and aspirations of Muslim women. Here is an overview of the entire methodology that we have got for you. But before that, let me also bring in our managing editor, Zaka Jacob, who is by default on that very prized magic wall. But today, these numbers will bring a lot of cheer for women across the country because their voice now resonates, Zaka.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, we've put out two of those questions. One is, do you support a common civil law for all citizens? And again, amongst Muslim women, a large majority are supportive of it. And of course, raising the marriage age to both men and women to 21. Again, a large majority are in favor of it. But just a quick word on why we have done this survey and why Muslim women. I think the important thing is that the Muslim community, and as has been expressed by organizations like the All India Muslim Personal Law Board, is vehemently opposed to the idea of a common civil law or a uniform civil code. So we decided to ask people who are perhaps worst off, most discriminated against by virtue of this common law or the lack of a common law as to what they think. And I think the findings of this survey are illustrative because there is clearly a difference in the way a large majority of the people in the community think and what their so-called representatives or self-appointed representatives claim that the community thinks. And I think we need to bring that contrast out, and it'll be evident through the course of the survey results.
And the numbers are an eye-opener. 51% of our population is women. 49 to 50% of the population of Indian Muslims in our country is also women. Quick overview of the methodology that we've used on India's biggest survey on the UCC. 8,035 respondents took part in this survey. 884 News 18 network reporters who conducted this on-ground survey. And that means that each of our surveyors has not gone beyond an average of 9 respondents. So that's the spread, ladies and gentlemen. 25 states and union territories covered in this exclusive survey. 20 languages in which the survey was conducted. So the questions were translated into 20 languages so the women there in these regions could understand the question and answer. Women across regions, communities, educational, marital status have been surveyed. Muslim women. On-ground survey conducted between the 4th and the 8th of July. That's the dates. Professional licensed software was used to collect the responses, and of course we have tabulated it in-house. So kudos to the team at the back end who've put in hours of work over many days to get you these numbers, crunch them and get you the most important insight. Now, these are the two questions that we have brought to you through the course of the day here on this special broadcast. Do you support a common law for marriage, divorce, adoption and inheritance? And that's it. The second question that we've asked, so let's look at the response for the first question. The first question, the response, an overwhelming 67.2% say yes, 7.4% sitting on the fence. Do you support a common law on marriage, divorce, adoption, inheritance? Then let's quickly get to you the second question that we've showcased through the day. There are 7 questions in this questionnaire, important ones. Question number 2 is a simple question on India's biggest survey on UCC. Do you support 21 years as the legal age of marriage for both men and women? Across the board, 78.7% have said yes, an overwhelming number. And if you break it down by age groups, with Zaka will in just a bit, it just becomes, the numbers only balloon up further. And then it becomes an absolute brute majority of people who say, yes, it's high time we did it. Without wasting time, and let's quickly go across to the other question that start with here on this very special broadcast. Do you think, the question is, do you think Muslim men should have the right to marry up to 4 women? Do you really think Muslim men should have the right to marry up to 4 women? Polygamy, should it be allowed? Let's look at what the numbers suggest. The numbers very clearly say no. 76.5% of the respondents say no. 17.4% of the respondents say yes. 6% odd are sitting on the fence. This is the overall number of the sample, 8,035 women. Let's go. Questions 1, 2, and 3 to Zaka as he breaks it down based on the nature of the respondents. Yes,
yeah,
Zaka.
I think this question about whether Muslim men should be allowed to marry up to 4 wives, they are legally allowed as per Muslim personal law to have up to 4 wives. I think this is one of the most repulsive sort of practices, because if you look at modern day marriages across, irrespective of religion, caste, creed, etc., the concept has now wired down to one husband, one wife, or one person, one spouse. Basically, the foundational the foundation of modern day marriage is built on fidelity. So having 4 wives is something that is a repulsive practice. But there again, if you were to break down amongst graduates, you said, 76.5% have opposed the idea of polygamy or having multiple spouses, multiple wives. In this case, if amongst graduates, it goes up by another additional 2 percentage points from 76.5 to 78.5. But amongst graduate respondents, very, very few are supportive of this practice. Just about 5% saying that they don't know or can't say. Again, if you look at age-wise breakup, in the younger demographic, 18 to 44 demographic, again, that number has gone up by 1.5% from 76.5 to 78. Here again, the percentage of people who are sitting on the fence and not taking a position against polygamy is much lesser compared to the overall respondents. The older people, again, there is almost a 5%, in fact, 5.3% difference between the total respondents and the older people. So older people seem to be favoring the idea of having multiple wives for Muslim men, but amongst younger people and graduates, it is far less. So I think, again, it comes back to, like I said, if for everyone, for Hindus, Christians, Parsis, Sikhs, the whole idea of marriage in this day and age has come down to, one husband, one wife, or having one partner. It is built on the concept of fidelity. Then having multiple wives, I think, is a repulsive
The more educated,
idea.
the more informed you are, the more nuanced your understanding. Just quickly, Zaka, if you were to go to question 2, does this response mirror the marriage age of 21? Does it the response mirror the, question number 3
in fact,
about polygamy?
if you were to look at the idea of raising the marriage age both for men and for women, in fact, the support there is much higher. In the previous segment, you saw 76, it became 78% in the case of graduates. In this case, it is 82%. It's a good 4% more. Similarly, here amongst the younger demographic as well, it's 80%. It's a couple of percentage points more than the revulsion towards polygamy. But when it comes to supporting 21 as the age of marriage, both for men and women, I think, again, the support is much more stronger in the younger demographic as well as in the more educated demographic. And I think it's keeping with marriages across that in this day and age, younger people are wanting to postpone marriage, whether it is for educational reasons, to find a job, to become financially independent. And even, the whole process of childbearing is being pushed further and further ahead. And I think if you look at younger people and graduates, the idea or the affirmative to raising the marriage age to 21 seems to be far more than in the general sample response.
No, absolutely. And the more educated, the younger they are, the more informed they are. And of course, they are also driving the opinion, ladies and gentlemen. Joining us now is Sushil Modi ji, Chairman of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Law. It's also BJP MP. सुशील मोदी जी नमस्ते. न्यूज़ 18 की तरफ से जो यूसीसी को लेकर सर्वे किया गया है, उसमें मुस्लिम महिलाओं ने बढ़ चढ़कर यूसीसी को सपोर्ट किया है. आप क्या कहेंगे हमारी इस पहल पर और इस बात पर कि मुस्लिम महिलाएं आगे आकर कह रही हैं कि देश में एक कॉमन कोड लाइए?
जो महिलाएं हैं, चाहे वो हिंदू समाज की हों या मुस्लिम समाज की, उनके साथ डिस्क्रिमिनेशन होता रहा और इसलिए पुरुष हमेशा विरोध करते हैं महिलाएं कभी विरोध नहीं करती हैं। जब हिंदू कोड बिल भी आ रहा था 56-55 में, तो हिंदू पुरुषों ने विरोध किया था। तो जिस प्रकार लेकिन फिर भी हिंदू कोड बिल आया और हिंदू समाज में डिस्क्रिमिनेशन खत्म हो गया। लेकिन 75 साल हो गया, आज तक मुस्लिम पर्सनल लॉ में किसी प्रकार को कोई सुधार नहीं हुआ। ये तो महिलाओं के हित में है, लेकिन इसका विरोध पुरुष करेंगे, क्योंकि पुरुषों को लगता है कि उनका एकाधिकार खत्म हो जाएगा। उनको जो डाइवोर्स में अनइक्वल राइट्स मिले हुए थे, जो पॉलीगेमी का अधिकार है, मेंटेनेंस नहीं देने की जो बात कही जाती है, प्रॉपर्टी राइट्स का जो मामला है, तो इसलिए जब दुनिया के अधिकांश मुस्लिम देशों के अंदर एक ही सिविल लॉ जारी है या लागू है, तो भारत में कोई अलग अलग सिविल लॉ होने का कोई औचित्य नहीं था। और आज आपने सर्वे करके सबों की आंखें खोल दी, क्योंकि हम लोग भी थोड़े चिंतित है कि पता नहीं सर्वे में क्या रिपोर्ट आएगी। लेकिन आपकी जो सर्वे रिपोर्ट आज आई है, ये तो ओवरवेलमिंगली जो सभी जो सिविल लॉ के मुद्दे हैं, उन सभी मुद्दों पर बहुसंख्यक महिलाओं ने सुधार की दिशा में और समर्थन किया है। तो ये दिखलाता है कि अब मुस्लिम समाज भी रिफॉर्म के लिए तैयार है। मेरी चंद मुट्ठी भर जो मेल डोमिनेटेड लोग हैं, जो मेल हैं, वो विरोध कर रहे हों, लेकिन आम मुस्लिम समाज भी सिविल लॉ में चेंजेस के पक्ष में है।
जी सुशील जी, इफ आई मे आस्क यू, AIMPLB की तरफ से विरोध आया है, RJD बिहार में कह चुकी है कि वी आर अगेंस्ट इट, DMK ने कहा है इट्स आवर पॉलिसी, वी आर गोइंग टू बी अगेंस्ट इट। आपको लगता है कि ये मुस्लिम वोट बैंक को बचाने के चक्कर में ये कर रहे हैं?
मुझे लगता है कि जब कोई ड्राफ्ट आ जाएगा पब्लिक में, तो जो लोग आज विरोध कर रहे हैं उनको भी समर्थन करना पड़ेगा। आप किस ग्राउंड पर विरोध कर रहे हैं? क्या अगर पॉलीगेमी हो कि मोनोगेमी हो, एक पति हो, एक पत्नी हो कि एक से ज्यादा पत्नी हो, किस आधार पर कोई इसका विरोध करेगा? 3 तलाक का किस आधार पर कोई समर्थन करेगा? तो राजनीतिक दल भी आज कई जो विरोध कर रहे हैं, कुछ तो सारी चीजों के आने के बाद भी विरोध करेंगे। लेकिन मुझे लगता है कि एक बार लॉ कमीशन के द्वारा जब ड्राफ्ट पब्लिक डोमेन में आएगा, तो जो थोड़ा बहुत भ्रम पैदा करने का प्रयास हो रहा है, तो जनता के दबाव में जो अन्य राजनीतिक दल हैं उनको भी कॉमन सिविल लॉ का समर्थन करना पड़ेगा। तो अभी तो उनके पास कोई ड्राफ्ट नहीं है, इसलिए भड़का देते हैं। लेकिन अगर मुस्लिम महिलाएं खुलकर सामने आ रही हैं और वो अगर कहते हैं कि सिविल लॉ में बदलाव आना चाहिए, फिर तो राजनीतिक दलों के विरोध का क्या अर्थ है? जो हमारे विरोधी वो तो हमेशा हमारा विरोध करेंगे, और जो हमारे समर्थन में भी जो लोग हैं उनके बीच में अगर कोई गलतफहमियां हैं, कोई मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग है, अगर मिस रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ फैक्ट्स है, तो उसको हम ठीक करने का प्रयास करेंगे। और मुझे नहीं लगता है कि अंततः जो है पूरा सारे अधिकांश पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज का समर्थन इस मुद्दे पर मिलेगा। कोई भी डिस्क्रिमिनेशन को जस्टिफाई नहीं कर सकता है। कोई भी जो महिलाओं के साथ जो लैंगिक अन्याय हो रहा है, जो एक सेक्स का जो डिस्क्रिमिनेशन है महिलाओं के प्रति, कौन उसका समर्थन करेगा आज के युग में? 75 साल पहले की बात अलग थी, लेकिन अब समाज बहुत आगे बढ़ गया। और जब दुनिया के अधिकांश मुस्लिम देशों में भी एक प्रकार का कानून है, और ये प्रथाएं वहां भी नहीं, भले कानून किसी भी प्रकार का हो, तो मुझे लगता है कि भारत में भी जब एक बार ड्राफ्ट आ जाएगा तो बहुत सारी गलतफहमियां दूर हो जाएंगी।
बट आपको लगता है कि सिख कम्युनिटी, पारसीज, क्रिश्चियंस, इन समुदायों में भी आपको सपोर्ट मिलेगा? SGPC हैज अपोज्ड इट, और अब ये कहा जा रहा है हमारे सर्वे के बाद कि आप इन समुदायों से भी पूछिए।
भी क्रिश्चियन समुदाय तो बहुत प्रोग्रेसिव है, और इंडियन सक्सेशन एक्ट जो आया वो तो क्रिश्चियंस के लिए आया। तो क्रिश्चियन के सिविल लॉ में तो लगभग 90% सुधार हो चुके हैं। तो इसलिए मुझे नहीं लगता कोई क्रिश्चियन कम्युनिटी के द्वारा कोई विरोध होगा। वैसे ही जो सिख समाज है, किस बात का विरोध? SGPC का मैंने बयान देखा तो मुझे लगता थोड़ी मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग है, लोगों के पास फैक्ट्स नहीं है, इसलिए लोग विरोध कर रहे हैं। और देखिए, तो हिंदू कोड बिल जब आया था तो हिंदू की परिभाषा में ही सिख, जैन, ये सारे बौद्ध शामिल थे। तो ऑलरेडी तो जो सिख पर्सनल लॉ का लीजिए आप, जो हिंदू पर्सनल लॉ का हिस्सा एक प्रकार का है, उसमें तो 90% सुधार हो चुके हैं। तो इसलिए मुझे नहीं समझ में आया, मैंने बयान भी देखा तो किस मुद्दे का विरोध कर रहे ये स्पष्ट नहीं हुआ
जी।
तो मुझे लगता है कि जो अकाली या जो सिख, जो क्रिश्चियंस, जो पारसी, अगर इनका थोड़ा बहुत कहीं विरोध दिखाई भी पड़ता होगा तो वह विरोध बहुत जल्द ठीक हो जाएगा, ताकि उनके पर्सनल लॉ में तो 90% सुधार पहले से ही हो चुके हैं। और जैसे क्रिश्चियंस के अंदर है कि जो सेपरेशन के लिए अभी प्रावधान है कि 2 साल उनको अलग रहना पड़ेगा अगर वो चाहते हैं तलाक, जबकि हिंदू में और बाकी में 1 साल का प्रावधान है और वो चाहते हैं कि 2 साल की वजह से इसको 1 साल का कर दिया जाए। तो ऐसे कुछ मामूली सुधार जरूर हैं, लेकिन क्रिश्चियनिटी में बहुत ज्यादा सुधार की कोई गुंजाइश मुझे दिखाई नहीं पड़ती, क्योंकि ऑलरेडी क्रिश्चियंस के अंदर, बाकी के अंदर और सिविल लॉ में काफी बड़ी मात्रा में सुधार हो चुके हैं।
Sushil Modi ji, thank you for speaking with us. Quickly going across to former Union Minister of Minority Affairs, Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, who's with us. Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi ji, namaste. Thank you very much for speaking with us. What's your perspective on the significant findings of the News 18 UCC poll?
कम्युनल कारीगरों की क्रिमिनल करतूत से कारागार में कैद कॉमन कोर्ट के रिहाई का वक्त आ गया है और ये इस बात का प्रमाण आपका सर्वे भी बता रहा है कि देश के अधिकांश लोग इस समावेशी सुधार के साथ हैं, सांप्रदायिक वार के खिलाफ हैं।
जी।
और एक बात बहुत साफ है, कुछ लोग हैं जो वक्त के सांचे में ढल गए और कुछ लोग हैं जो वक्त के सांचे बदल गए। तो आज जो है इस अमृत काल चल रहा है, इस अमृत काल में जो कॉमन सिविल कोड को लेकर के मंथन हो रहा है
जी।
मुझे पूरा यकीन है, पूरा विश्वास है कि इससे अमृत जरूर निकलेगा। और जो लोग इसको जो है वो धर्म के आधार पर, जो लोग इसको जो है कहते हैं जी इस्लाम पर वार है, धर्म पर, धार्मिक आस्थाओं और मान्यताओं के खिलाफ है, ये मैं इन कम्युनल जो कुतर्कों के कारीगर हैं उनसे मैं एक चीज पूछना चाहता हूं कि कैसे इस्लाम पर वार हुआ। जिस तरह से डेमोक्रेसी के 4 पिलर हैं, विधायिका है, न्यायपालिका है, कार्यपालिका है, मीडिया है, उसी तरह से इस्लाम के 5 पिलर हैं। उसमें जो है वो कलमा है, ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह मुहम्मद रसूलुल्लाह, उसमें जो है नमाज है, रोजा है, हज है, ज़कात है, यानी कि जो दान दिया जाता है, गरीबों को दान देने का जो प्रक्रिया है इस्लाम में वो है। आप ये बताओ, जो इस कुतर्कों के कारीगर हैं, कुतर्कों के कम्युनल कारीगर, उनसे मैं एक ही चीज पूछना चाहता हूं कि इन 5 पिलरों में से कौन सा पिलर जो है वो इस कॉमन सिविल कोड की वजह से हिलने वाला है?
लेकिन नकवी जी ये बताइए, डू यू फील दैट ये जो कम्युनिटी के जो मेजॉरिटी व्यूज हैं, ऑलमोस्ट 70% वुमेन आर फेवरिंग अ यूसीसी, ये जो मेजॉरिटी व्यू है इसको कहीं ओवरशैडो किया जा रहा है बाय पीपल लाइक AIMPLB, जो क्लेरिक्स जो बैठे हैं, जो जिनका स्टेटमेंट आया था पिछले हफ्ते, आर दे कंप्लीटली नेगेटिंग द मेजॉरिटी व्यू पर्टिकुलरली ऑफ वुमेन इन द कम्युनिटी?
कांग्रेस पार्टी हो या और भी जो पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज हैं और जो राजनीतिक दल है जो इस पूरे के पूरे समावेशी सुधार पर कम्युनल वार करने या सांप्रदायिक वार करने में लगे हुए हैं, वो भी ये बात जानते हैं कि उनका अंतर्द्वंद, अंतर्विरोध, उनके अंतर्द्वंद और अंतर्विरोध का उनके ही पार्टी के लोग अपनी अंतरात्मा की आवाज से अंत करेंगे। और इस बात से वो पूरी तरह से मतलब वाकिफ हैं, जानते हैं वो कि वो लोग जो है वो जो भी कर रहे हैं, आज जो है ना देश उनके साथ इसके विरोध में खड़ा हुआ है, इनके विरोध के इस स्वर के साथ खड़ा हुआ है, और ना ही इनकी ही पार्टी के लोग खड़े हुए हैं। और मैं आपको विश्वास दिलाता हूं, पार्लियामेंट में आप देख लीजिएगा कि इनके अंतर विरोध का इनकी ही पार्टी के लोग अपनी अंतरात्मा की आवाज से उस पर अंकुश भी लगाएंगे और उसका अंत भी करेंगे।
जी।
क्योंकि नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने देश के आर्थिक सुधार हो, सामाजिक सुधार हो, या तमाम जो कृषि के से संबंधित सुधार हो, शिक्षा के सुधार को देख लें आप अगर, और तमाम ऐसे सुधार से जुड़े हुए मुद्दे हैं जिसको कि मजबूती के साथ उसको जो है वो सफल बनाया है और आज इस सुधार के रास्ते पे देश आगे बढ़ा है।
Okay. Naqvi Saab, thank you very much. Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi there, former Minority Affairs Minister. We're also joined by two very special guests. Mr. P. Wilson is a member of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Law and Justice. He's part of that same committee which is looking into UCC, and also Vikas Singh is former Additional Solicitor General of India. Mr. Wilson, you heard from the head of the committee. You've seen the findings of the News 18 survey. 2 out of 3 Muslim women who we surveyed are saying that they are for uniformity when it comes to personal law on matters like succession, inheritance, marriage, divorce, etc. I think the overwhelming sort of view seems to be that there seems to be discrimination, particularly between men and women in the Muslim community, and that needs to end. And that's why there seems to be support for a uniform set of laws. Your response?
Well, sir, I doubt your this thing which you have done, survey you have done. Whom you have interviewed, please tell me. What type of categories have you interviewed? What is their age group? What is their educational background? What was the question format which you framed and which you asked them? Do you have any data, written data on that?
Yes.
Because you're not just putting on the screen and you're
we are
asking our
happy to
views.
share. We are happy to share that more than 8,000
Yes.
women across 25 different
That
states,
is what-
including the state you come from, have been asked these questions.
That is what, sir, I'm
they were
asking
sent
you.
these
What
questionnaires.
type of people? Can you please tell me?
No,
what
there
is
are
their
people.
age?
There are people.
What is their education
One second.
background?
More than
From what-
20%. Sir, hear me out, please.
Sir,
you
you
asked a
first- you
you
first-
asked a question. Please have the patience to hear
Yes.
me out. More than
Yes,
20%.
I can't subscribe your views,
Yeah,
sir.
you
I
don't
can't,
need to
sir. I
subscribe.
can't
You
sub-
asked me a question
Yeah.
about the methodology, how we have
Yeah.
gone about the survey. I'm giving you an answer.
I doubt it, sir.
I give you an
doubt it,
answer.
sir.
You can doubt it, but
Yes.
allow me to give you the
There
answer.
are many channels who have done
Allow me to
otherwise.
give me the answer to the question that you
Yes,
asked.
please
It's,
tell me,
it's only
sir.
basic
Yes.
courtesy. Number one,
Yes.
there are 20% people who are in the 18 to 44 category. There were people in the 44 to 60 category. There was also 20% which was above the 60 category. Graduates
Okay.
and above graduates, postgraduates and others, again, 25% were educated, graduate and above. There were others who were also, 20% of the sample was people who were illiterate. All of these people were sent a questionnaire. There was a mobile link that was shared with them. They filled up that questionnaire. And you'd be happy to know, I presume, that more than 90% of these women who took part in the
Please
survey...
display what is
no,
the
once again,
questionnaire.
more than
Please display.
90% of the women who took part in the survey were happy to share their name, their identity and address. But for privacy reasons, we have chosen not to reveal that. But we'll be happy to
No,
send
please
across
display what
the
is
raw,
the- please display.
the raw data to you.
Yeah, please display what is the questionnaire you have shown to them.
The 7 questions, the
Can you display that?
three of those questions we have just shown. One is, do you support uniform laws in matters like
Okay.
inheritance, marriage,
is a
divorce,
uniform law?
etc.?
What was the
That
uniform law shown to them?
all citizens, irrespective of caste, creed, religion, will face a common set of civil laws.
Did you tell them about the constitutional provisions?
No, who are we
Did
to
you
tell them
tell
about the
Scheduled Tribes
Constitution? No,
protection?
one second. This was
No, please,
this was
please,
a sample
when
of
you
Muslim
want me to
women.
subscribe to
No,
your-
I'm
no.
not asking you to subscribe. I'm asking you a question. Do you
Yeah.
have an answer to the question? That's all I'm asking you. How do
Yes.
you explain, sir, that 2 out of 3 Muslim women are in favor of uniform laws when it comes to civil matters?
Sir, I'm asking you one simple question.
No,
Did
sir.
you tell them the
My job is to
constitutional
ask you
provision
the
is like
question.
this?
Your job, if you have, is to answer the question. So kindly answer the question I'm asking you.
What is this? You are asking a question, I'm answering you.
No,
The
not with a
question is,
counter
you
question.
want to
No.
show some, you want to show some data and you are asking my views. I say that data, how, to what type of people did you ask this category?
Fair enough. If you
and what
don't
is the
believe in the
question you
data,
have
if you don't believe in the exercise, go ahead and say that. I don't have a problem.
Okay, sir. I will tell you my views, sir. Please
Yeah,
listen to me, sir.
exactly.
Sir, now, first of all, you can't simply say that I went on, I asked survey number. This is not the way, you should. This is a law which is going to affect every one of the citizens. 133 crore population is going to be affected. So it is not just sitting in one channel and telling, so look, my reporters went there, they had their interviews, so this is the view, so you have to accept it. Sir, please, first of all, understand, it goes to the very root of the matter. Even the Hindus are going to be affected. Not only Hindus, sir, all communities, all religions are going to be affected. Even you will be affected, I'll be affected. How even your group, who is a Hindu undivided family, run by a Hindu undivided family, they are going to be affected. So this is not a simple joke, sir. You should first of all understand. We all should apply our mind. What is wrong with the 70 years of independence? The laws are there. If you want to, alter any particular personal law, do it. Who prevented you? And the 21st Law Commission has made it very clear. In 2018, they have given you tabled a consultation
But
paper.
Mr. Wilson,
doing
you don't
for
believe
last 5 years?
believe as a lawyer in this day and age in the 21st century you should have one set of laws for succession and inheritance
Sir,
for
I'll
women
tell you one
and
thing.
another set for
Sir,
men. You don't find that discriminatory?
Sir, okay, sir. I will ask you only one question, sir. Can you allow us to go inside the, the temple? They call it as a Karuvarai. Can you do it?
No, no,
Sir, there is a different.
One second.
There is a caste.
One
There is a
second.
customs.
This
there is a religion.
This is civil matter on
Sir, this is what civil
succession,
matters.
on
I'm
inheritance.
not. Yes, I'm asking you one
No,
question.
one
sir.
minute, Mr.
I'm asking
Wilson.
you
This is
straight,
Anand Narasimhan here. Sir, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
You are a lawyer, you are a senior advocate. Do you not know
Yes.
the difference between a civil contract and the rules and the living rights of a deity inside a temple? Are you trying why are you deliberately trying to ask a question?
No.
Do you or
I'm
do you not
asking
believe that men and women
No.
should have the same age of marriage? It's a simple question. Let me ask you.
Sir, your
I'm
thought
asking
is wrong, sir.
I'm
Sir,
asking you,
first of
sir.
all, you don't.
So
you
I'm
don't
asking
trust
your thought, sir. I'm asking
Sir,
your thought on a straightforward question.
That is what I'm answering.
Do you
I'm
believe
answering,
women
Sir, I'm
and men
answering,
should
sir.
marry at the same age? At 21?
Sir, it is already there. Why
Where
don't
is
you
it there,
understand?
sir?
You want to amend it, you amend it.
Where is it there?
Sir, which law you want to amend, sir? Please
Where
tell
is
me,
it there?
sir. What is
Where
wrong
is
with
it there?
which law, sir?
Why should we
No,
have?
no.
Why should if do
No,
you
no.
know do you
What
do,
is
do you
wrong in
believe what's
amending?
enshrined in Article
Sir,
44?
it is not
of the
a question of
Constitution?
age alone, sir.
Why did our founding
Sir, it is-
fathers say
Sir,
that the state should
sir,
secure a
very
uniform
difficult,
civil
sir.
code 75
Sir,
years
you are
ago?
asking me questions. Should you not allow me to answer?
Because, sir, you are not answering the question,
you,
but you are asking counter questions. So let
No,
me
no.
ask you.
No.
I asked you a
No,
simple question, sir. Mr. Wilson, I'm asking. Vikas Singh ji is also there. Mr. Wilson, since you refuse to answer the question, as a party, should you?
No.
I'm asking you to rise
No.
above your
Sir, see,
party
you call
allegiance
me-
and answer a
Sir,
simple
you
question.
call me.
Should
Sir,
a boy
you
and
call
girl
me-
have equal inheritance
No.
rights?
You call me for a discussion.
Your son and
one-to-one
daughter, sir,
discussion. Why you do not allow me
your
to?
son and
No, why
daughter,
are you
sir,
not allowing
across
me
the
to
country,
place that
across
on record?
communities, should they have
Sir,
equal rights?
We can't. We can't listen to your views, sir. Don't trust your
please
views,
answer
sir.
my question,
Each one
sir.
of them has got views.
Please
You
answer
call
my
me
question,
for a
sir.
national channel.
Please answer
you
my
call
question,
me for
sir.
a national channel.
Please answer my
Sir,
question.
I'll tell you
Vikas
one
Singh
thing.
ji.
Yes.
Vikas Singh ji, is Mr. Wilson answering the question that we are asking Vikas Singh ji? Do you, as a father, as a parent, want the same inheritance right for your son and daughter? Is that a fair or unfair question, Vikas Singh ji? Let me please bring in Vikas Singh ji, Wilson ji. Yeah.
Sir, I'm sorry, sir. You're not listening to me.
I am listening to you, sir, but I'm sorry, sir, you are not answering the questions posed by Saka and me. You are not answering the question,
sir. You're not asking our views. You are thrusting your views
No,
on
no,
us.
sir. I'm asking you a question and you're not answering, sir. Do you believe
What
that a
question?
boy and girl should have equal inheritance rights?
Sir, what is wrong with that? What is wrong with your belief?
I'm asking you, do you
That is
believe
what-
yes or no?
Sir, everyone is asking that only.
If that is the case, then there should be a
Every law
common law on
says-
inheritance. That's
What
what
is
Muslim
this?
women
How
are
can you
also
come to
saying
that
because right now they are being
Sir, did
denied
you
as per
read the
their personal law.
Constitution?
Yes,
Sir, did
Vikas
you
Singh.
read Article 371?
Yes,
Did
Vikas
you
Singh.
read
Yeah.
Article 371?
Sir,
I'm sorry.
in one country, should there be a different law for different individuals, especially in cases of civil contract? Vikas Singh ji, where do you stand?
So the the answer actually you will find in our constitution itself. So in our constitution, although Article 44 is included in the directive principles of state policy, which is not the same as a fundamental right, but Article 25, which is the fundamental right, starts with a subject to clause. It says subject to public order, morality or health and other provisions of this part. Other provisions of this part include equality. So your right to practice your religion, freely practice your religion, is subject to the other provisions of the part of the fundamental rights, which is equality. So when a uniform civil law is to be brought in, which is actually one of the founding fathers had felt it necessary to be brought in, slowly of course, but surely by providing it as a directive principle of state policy. Nobody can deny that those parts of a religious denomination or religious freedoms that are there does not include the right to violate the right of equality or a human right. So for instance, if you want to provide for a marriageable age for girls to be say 18 minimum, and as a part of a uniform civil law, nobody can say that because my religion permits me, so I can marry a girl who's 15 or 14 or whatever. So that is something which will be considered to be a basic human right, or equality is the other right which is also there in the constitution. So when you say of a boy or girl not inheriting equally property of her parents, then that is again a right to equality. Now, if you will see in the recent past also, I mean, there have been, instances where the Hindu Succession Act has been amended and girls have been made co-parceners, which, our original Hindu rights, as we know, as we understood as per our, Hindu text, boys had a certain preeminence in inheriting property, and they were the co-parceners and girls were not co-parceners. Now, slowly, Hindus have, the parliament has enacted the amendment to the Hindu Succession Act, and the Hindus have not objected. They didn't say that, no, it's our fundamental right and we only the boys will be co-parceners and girls should not be co-parceners. And it has been, I think maybe about 20 years back or almost 17, 18 years back, this amendment was made to the Succession Act. So,
right.
This kind of reform, which has to come in the entire country, is definitely a very salutary reform, and nobody can deny that it is, and nobody can say that it is unconstitutional, because even the fundamental right starts with the subject to clause of subject to public order, morality, health, or other provisions of this part. But the important point is that we should ensure that there is no misinformation spread when these civil rights are being, equal civil rights are being brought in. And the focus of bringing in equal civil rights should be limited to, those fundamental rights of either equality, or I would say, because Article 21 has been defined to mean much more than what, it originally stood for when the Constitution was drafted, to mean a lot of other things. So it has to be, traced to the other fundamental rights which are being violated in some form or the other, by virtue of the uniformity of civil law not being brought in. And I have always said that you should have a public debate, try to involve the intelligentsia in every religious community, and take them on board and take their views. And there should be proper dissemination of information, that it is not that your religious rights are being interfered with. Your religion will remain your religion. Nobody will interfere in what you feel as essential for your religion. But only that part of, or I would say rather say the secular part of the religious function, which is, equality, etc., only that portion will be, looked at in the Uniform Civil Code. And I feel that your channel or any other channel should, bring out the real issue that the Uniform Civil Code is talking about, and it is not as if it is anti-Muslim or anti.
Thank you for joining us. I think he has a valid point that Article 25, which is protective of religious freedoms, should not be violative of the principle of equality, Article 15. And I think that's, at least when it comes to the issue of inheritance, property, rights to ancestral property, there is a big problem, particularly for Muslim women. They are not entitled to the same share as Muslim men are. And I think if you go through the survey, and we'll reveal some of the other questions that have been asked as well through the course of our program, I think we're ready for the next question that we asked.
The other aspect is that religious personal faith and personal law, they're two separate aspects altogether. And there is an effort to try and conflate the two or try and confuse the two, which should be avoided. The next question, ladies and gentlemen, should divorced couples be allowed to remarry without any restriction? Should divorced couples be allowed to remarry without any restriction? So that's the question. An overwhelming 73.7% have responded in the affirmative. They should be allowed to remarry without any restriction. 18% have said no, and about 8.3% are still sitting on the fence. If we break it down, how does it look?
I think here again, it's the concept of discrimination, because men have a different set of laws when it comes to divorced couples, and women have a different set of rules when it comes to divorces as far as Muslim women are concerned. There is a concept called iddat in Islam, which means that a divorced Muslim couple, the man, once the legalities are over, the man can immediately remarry whoever he chooses to, whereas the woman has to wait for this period of iddat to get over. It can be 3 months, it can be 6 years, 6 months, it can even be up to a year. Here again, if you break it down in terms of the graduates, the educated class, and also the younger people, the numbers are higher than the overall sample. For the overall sample, it's 73.7, whereas amongst graduates, people who are educated, it's almost 80%. Even those undecided, that figure drops by about 3% or so. between the overall general sample that we have taken and also the graduates among them. Again, amongst young people, it's 75% who say that once a couple is divorced, then it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, you should be allowed to freely remarry without having this restriction of iddat, which means there is a certain time period which only the woman has to follow, the man does not need to follow. And I think, again, it goes back to how younger people, more educated people are seeing that as A, discriminatory, and B, also regressive.
Yeah, and a lot of them have been at the receiving end of this also, this entire period. There are different logics that are used, but then why is it that it's not applicable to both sides? Should adoption be allowed regardless of religion? That's the next question on the News 18 UCC survey, India's biggest survey on the Uniform Civil Code. Yes, 64.9% say yes, but the number of nays is significantly higher in this one, 22.9%. Don't know, can't say is about 12.2%. So the adoption question perhaps is the one in this survey among all the questions where the number of nays has been the highest, somewhere around in the 20-25%.
In fact, if you add the no's and no can't say, that adds up to about 26%. So a quarter of the respondents are either against equality when it comes to adoption, or they are not sure of it. And the reason for that is in Islamic law, there is no concept of a legal heir if the child happens to be adopted. There is the biological heir. There is no concept of an adoptive heir. Unlike in other religions, in Hinduism and Christianity, an adopted child has just the same rights as a biological child. Whereas in Islam, as per the Sharia Act of 1937, there is no concept of recognizing an adoptive child as a legal heir. Again, if you go to the younger people, the graduates, amongst the graduates it does go up by about 5%, but amongst younger people or older people, it seems to be more or less the same. In fact, in older people have a larger number who believe that yes, it should be equal laws when it comes to adoption. Like I said, this was a case that was challenged by activist Shabnam Hashmi. She had an adopted daughter. She went to the Supreme Court challenging that. And the court in that particular instance said all basis of adoption in this country is what's called the JJ Act, or the Juvenile Justice Act. In that particular case, the court ruled, and the court opined, no less than the Supreme Court, that the basis would be the JJ Act for adoption, whether it is a daughter or a son. An adoptive child, particularly when there is no biological heir, then becomes de facto the legal heir, the heir that is recognized by law.
But interestingly, Zaka, and I'm subject to correction, but on my conversation with Professor Gurumurthy, had highlighted this issue of adoption. In Islam, the Prophet had said that adoption is not allowed, but the 1937 Sharia Act actually surpasses, circumvents this, and Jinnah and the rest, because they were largely zamindar, said that if you don't have a male heir, they should be allowed to adopt. So they actually allowed for adoption there, which is again, that's why Professor Gurumurthy said it's a fraud on Islam. But Flavia Agnes, women's rights lawyer, is with us, and we also have Saira Shah Halim, social activist, and we also have Amitabh Sinha, senior advocate of the Supreme Court. Namaste to everybody. Thank you very much. Flavia ji, there are a lot of people who believe that we've got the survey all wrong. There will be resistance from other women's groups. Where do you stand on this survey where Muslim women, more than 8,000 of them, have overwhelmingly come and said that we need to have equal rights? Flavia Agnes, can you hear me? All right, I don't think she can hear me. We'll try and go across. We'll go to Amitabh Sinha also. Amitabh ji, there are lawyers who believe you cannot do this in India. India is not ready for it. There are lawyers who believe that this is the right time, and if there was ever a time, this is the one. We're 75 years too late. Our founding fathers wanted it done, and that's why it's enshrined in our directive principles. Where do you stand? Is India ready for a common civil code?
See, there are two views. Always you will find two views. One is dogmatic, one is pragmatic. So dogmatic people will think the same way you are talking about in the first place, that it is not possible in India at least. Why it is not possible? Because in Article 14 our constitution guarantees equality, and in Article 25 also it is mentioned very clearly, and the moreover in Article 44 in Directive Principles of a State Policy, the Common Civil Code was mentioned as the first required thing to maintain equality in the country. So why it is not possible? This is the best time when the decisive role should be taken by this government, and the government is ready to take. I don't think that this is not the right time. This is the most apt time, and most important, this is for the equality of women. I mean, Muslim women. And where are these people, these activists, women rights activists? They are just sleeping. Mahua Chatterjee type of brand of people. They should also come and then give their opinion. What exactly is right for Muslim women? Why they should be compelled, as you have just discussed about remarriage after the divorce from the same person, this halala. Why they don't raise voice against the halala, that the woman is bound to be married and sleep with some person from the same family before marrying the same person. This is really like pathetic situation for India.
I think there are different
women.
interpretations of halala. But Amitabh ji, why do we need activists when we have Muslim women themselves?
I'm coming.
Muslim women themselves who have come out and said in our survey overwhelmingly, where they have said that we want equal rights. We want the age of marriage to go up to 21. We want to have the right to remarry
your survey.
Immediately after
Let me congratulate you. Your survey is basically first step ahead of what Law Commission has tried to do that. I mean, in this perspective, you have created, an environment, positive environment for the Uniform Civil Code in Muslim women.
Our attempt was to ask the question. The environment has been created by the respondents, the 8,000 plus women. Amitabh ji, I'm just going across to Saira Shah Halim.
Exactly.
2 or 3 questions.
My suggestion would be in this survey, one question should have been asked, that whether you are willing to, give your opinion to the Law Commission or not. Because this is also important.
Well, we hope that the Law Commission takes cognizance, and we have very clearly said that we are happy to share the details and the raw data, because we have nothing to hide, and 90% of the respondents have revealed their name, age, etc. and where they are from. Amitabh ji, please stay with me. Saira Shah Halim with us. Saira Shah Halim, so 2 questions in the morning now. We've got 3 more questions that have been added. In the matter of adoption, there seems to be a certain amount of reluctance because of what Islam itself propagates. But like we know, in the 1937 Shariat Act is invariance there. They made an exception to the aspect of adoption. But let me ask you, where do you stand in terms of raising of the marriage age, being allowed to marry immediately after divorce, and of course the aspect of polygamy, that it should be disallowed?
See, I'm all for progressive laws. If you're talking about equal rights as far as adoption is concerned, if you talk about equal rights as far as inheritance is concerned, I'm all for women empowerment. The contention here is, where is the draft? Because here it's not just about the Muslim community, whether the women here, the Muslim women are getting cornered, whether they fear triple talaq, whether they fear nikah halala. Firstly, I'll tell you what. It is very clear that the incidents of nikah halala and triple talaq were very few. However, they shouldn't have existed in society, but they were very few in number. Anyway, they've been done and dusted with. As far as nikah halala and triple talaq is concerned, pronouncement of instant triple talaq. Now coming back to the Uniform Civil Code, like I said, it is not a minority issue which is being made out to be. Firstly, we need to ask about the Hindu undivided family, the tax benefits they get, because there is a head of the family, and of course everybody has individual HUF has its own permanent account numbers and the tax returns independent of the members. We need to ask them, would they be okay with tweaking away their personal laws. We need to ask the tribals whether they're okay with tweaking
Okay.
their laws. We need to
No,
ask
no,
the
who is
Jains.
saying that
No,
those
we need
things
to
will
ask
be-
the
will
Buddhists.
be
one second,
withdrawn?
one second. Let me also get in. Let me also get in
Let me
Flavia
finish,
Agnes,
let me
please.
finish, let me
One
finish,
one
let me
second.
finish.
One second. Yeah. Saira,
So,
finish.
so
it.
Hypothesis.
here it's being made out as the
Absurd
Muslims
hypothesis.
are up in arms and they're revolting against something that is very progressive. But here we need to ask now. I'm not talking about the survey.
Okay.
I'm simply ask, how many people individually do you know or anybody in the panel knows of a Muslim man in India who's got 2 wives or 3 wives? Because again, the cases of polygamy happens in the tribal areas.
I know. 4 wives.
It happens
4 wives, I know.
in the tribal areas, but this whole demonizing
In
of
semi-urban area.
Muslims and
Semi-urban.
minorities needs to stop.
Okay, one second.
Needs to
I
stop, because
want to
here a
ask
Muslim
Flavia.
man,
I want to ask
an
Flavia
average
Agnes.
Muslim
Saira,
man
one second.
goes to work
Let me ask.
and comes
Let me
back
ask
to his
Flavia
wife,
Agnes.
and he's busy trying to earn a
I think the
livelihood.
issue.
That's about
no,
it.
no. One second. The issue is a question of equality, and it's a question of principle. In principle, why should one class of citizens, because they happen to be women, inherit only 1/4 the property, whereas men inherit half the property? That is, by and in and of itself, violative of Article 14. Flavia Agnes, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, so I was trying to ask
this
you.
question for me?
Yeah, that question was for you. You know, through the survey, through these 7 questions that we asked the 8,000 respondents who took part in this, we did not mention the words UCC to them even once. We never said that this whole survey is on Uniform Civil Code. We were asking principal questions on the idea that there should be similar civil laws for all individuals, and that you cannot have discriminatory personal laws just because you happen to be a woman and on the other hand you happen to be a man. That a man can inherit half the property, ancestral property of his or her parents, whereas a woman can only is entitled only to 1/4. Isn't that discriminatory in this day and age?
It is discriminatory and it should go. We should have uniform rights for all women in the property. Whether it's Hindu ancestral property, whether it's Islamic, Sunni, Shia, whichever law it is, the property clause should be changed. And women should get equal rights, equal property rights as their male counterpart. So there's no doubt about that. How do we go about it? That is the important question. Not whether there should be a gender parity.
But how then would you go about it if you do not have a common set of civil laws for all individuals?
How do you bring in this common civil code, the common set of laws? Is it coming from above or is it a participatory process? Can people participate in this process? How can they involve themselves? We have to take the community with us. We can't just say from above, yeah, from tomorrow everybody will have equal rights. What about the tribal community? What about the minority community? There's so many issues here, complicated issues. It's not so simple that we did a survey and this is what we found out. It's not as simple as that.
Flavia ji,
So I'm for working
we actually
with the
did
group
this survey.
and building up a consensus.
Now, 2 aspects. One, that the government, the Law Commission itself has solicited responses, and nearly about 9 lakh responses have come in so far with recommendations of what should make the draft of a common civil code. And they're still open to suggestions, and these suggestions have come from across the community lines. They have engaged with all people from all walks of life. This survey was focused largely on the Muslim women, and answering Saira Shah Halim's question there, that if she says that there aren't too many people who are practicing polygamy, the answer itself, the response by the Muslim women itself shows that it's an issue, because it's an overwhelming number that said that you need to do away with polygamy. So that means it exists in society. An overwhelming number of women had opposed instant teen talaq. But
my point is different. Excuse me.
Jay.
May I intervene?
Yes.
May I intervene?
Yes.
See, there is not at all the question of how many. Why the provision is there? this provision must be, abolished without any further delay.
Correct.
And
Sir, but if
these
there are
women
provisions
activists
within
and-
Islam, there are
see,
also provisions within the Hindu community, like Saira Shalim talked about the Hindu undivided family.
Yes,
there
and,
aren't too many
in
families
Hindu
which are claiming
community-
tax rebates
in
on the Hindu undivided
communities. How many sati, used to happen? But sati pratha was abolished. So all these things, number is not important. Even one person is doing, must be abolished, because if some one person is doing such type of act, he cannot be punished as per the personal
Correct,
law.
because
Muslim
there are
personal
Hindu
law.
communities,
So
sir, because
the
Amitabh ji,
law
you would
must
also
be
agree.
amended.
There are Hindu communities also which marry their children at 15, 16, 17 and they do it quietly. Child marriages were
But
rampant
that
among
is
the Hindu
criminal offense.
Samajas.
But
that's
that
now
is a criminal offense there.
Correct, it's criminal
Try
offense.
to understand, that is criminal. If the person is Hindu, it is a criminal
Correct.
offense.
So
But
there
for a
is going to
Muslim,
be
it is not
resistance.
criminal.
There is
So
going
this
to
is
be.
the-
You would also agree that there is going to be resistance even among the Hindu
Exactly,
Samaj
I am telling
when
you.
you want
So
to
why-
raise
why
the
the
marriage
law should
age of
be
women
different?
also to 21. So it's not that it's going to be there. But here what we are saying is there is a voice that was never heard, a largely male-dominated discourse. Here we said let's go to the women and give them a voice and let's see what they have to say. And Saira Shalim, women overwhelmingly
Exactly.
here have come out and said that in these matters there should be parity. There needs to be a law that will make sure there is equality and there is no discrimination. That's where it stands. And the people who
I
are
agree
largely
with you.
opposing it
Even
are male
if
folk.
a law has any room. So here, if for once, if we don't talk about the statistics, we just talk whether a law has sanction for polygamy or any such practices, it should be abolished. I agree with it. But again, I'm iterating. There is no mention of nikah halala in the Quran, and it was anyway banned in the Sharia. Now, the contention is that whenever a law is imposed without a consensus, okay, so there is chaos, there is mayhem, and political parties derive benefits from division, from chaos, from mayhem.
No.
So that
Political
is the
parties, if
concern
they are,
here.
then political
No,
parties
it
should
is
not be
going to
divided,
so
Saira ji.
easy. The way
women,
three-
50%
the
of the
way
Indian
things
Muslim population is
advocated,
women
it
in
is
our
not
country.
going to
So
be
their
that
rights
simple.
don't matter to opposition
Because
parties, those who
other
are opposing it.
minorities are involved here. Other
No.
minorities are involved
No,
here. The
everybody,
tribals are involved
if
here.
everybody
Their laws are going to
largely,
be tweaked.
Saira
The
ji,
Hindus are involved here.
Saira
It
ji, you
involves
will admit,
everybody.
you will agree that most of the other personal laws are already codified. Among the Hindu codified laws, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, they all came under the Hindu codified law. Christian laws have also been codified largely.
Right.
The only one who have continued to
Yes.
claim exception are the Muslims who have come out and claimed to say that no, we will not allow our personal laws to be codified. That's the reason why among the Muslims, the women have not had a say. We said, let's give them a say. There is more. There is more. We're going to take a very, very short
the
break and
Muslims
share with
were-
you more findings. Stay with us.